Jassi Sidhu was convinced she had found her soulmate. He was a man she was willing to defy her family and 1,000 years of tradition for. But that love came with a secret, and her secret was about to cost her everything. The last words her husband, Mithu, remembers her saying were a desperate plea to their attackers. "Don't hurt my Mithu. Don't hit him." But they did. As he lay bleeding and broken on a dusty roadside, they dragged her away. To understand how a daughter's love could be met with such a brutal betrayal, a betrayal orchestrated by her own mother, we have to go back to where it all began. Jaswinder, or Jassi, as everyone knew her, was a bright, bubbly young woman from Maple Ridge, British Columbia. To anyone looking in, she lived a comfortable life. Her family were wealthy, respected members of the local Punjabi Sikh community, the owners of a successful blueberry farm. But behind that facade of prosperity, Jassi's life was tightly controlled. Her world revolved around household chores and prayers. Her family taught her that a woman's life was defined by honor and shame. There was no push for higher education. Her purpose was to be a good daughter and, eventually, a wife in a suitable arranged marriage. In 1994, during a family trip to their ancestral village in Punjab, India, Jassi met Sukhwinder Sidhu, known to everyone as Mithu. He was a handsome kabaddi player who made a humble living as a rickshaw driver. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. He was poor, from a lower social class. She was the daughter of Canadian millionaires. But a connection sparked between them. When Jassi returned to Canada, their romance blossomed in secret, kept alive by hundreds of letters and late-night phone calls. Jassi was completely in love. And she knew, with absolute certainty, her family would never approve. They were already trying to arrange her marriage to a much older, wealthier business associate in Canada. For them, marriage wasn't about love. It was about status, wealth, and, above all, family honor. Mithu, a poor rickshaw driver from the same village clan as her mother, wasn't just an unsuitable match, he was a forbidden one. Defying everyone, Jassi chose love. In March of 1999, she flew to India in secret and married Mithu in a small ceremony. For a fleeting moment, they were just a happy, newly married couple. But when a villager leaked the news of their marriage back to Jassi's family in Canada, their dream turned into a nightmare. The family's reaction was volcanic. Jassi's mother, Malkeet Kaur Sidhu, and her uncle, Surjit Singh Badesha, were enraged. In their eyes, Jassi hadn't just disobeyed them. She had brought immense shame and dishonor upon the entire family. Her family immediately launched a relentless campaign to end the marriage. They tried everything. They offered her cars and money to leave Mithu. They beat her. Then, their tactics turned more sinister. Her family in India, on instructions from Canada, filed a false police report, accusing Mithu of kidnapping Jassi and forcing her to marry him. Mithu was arrested and thrown in jail. Determined to save her husband, Jassi flew back to India in May of 2000. She went straight to the police and gave a statement confirming she had married Mithu of her own free will, which secured his release. For a brief period, they were finally together. But they were living on borrowed time. Jassi knew the danger she was in. A friend later recalled Jassi saying that what was waiting for her was death, that India was her death sentence. The threats from Canada were constant and escalating. Her mother and uncle were not going to let this perceived stain on their honor stand. Phone records would later reveal the chilling truth. Hundreds of incriminating calls were made between Jassi's family in Canada and hired contract killers in India. The conspiracy, allegedly orchestrated from thousands of miles away, was clear. The order came directly from her mother, Malkeet, and her uncle, Surjit, kill Jassi. On the evening of 8 June 2000, Jassi and Mithu were riding home on their scooter when they were ambushed by a car full of armed men. They were dragged from the scooter and viciously attacked. Mithu was beaten mercilessly with swords and hockey sticks, and left for dead in a ditch. The attackers then forced Jassi into their car. As they drove away, she screamed for them to leave her husband alone. It was the last time he ever heard her voice. The next day, Jassi's body was found in an irrigation canal miles away. Her throat had been slit. She was just 25 years old. The life she had fought so hard for, the love she had chosen over everything, had been violently extinguished by the very people who were supposed to protect her. If you are finding this case as shocking as we did, consider subscribing so you don't miss more stories like this. Mithu Sidhu survived the attack. He was found by passers-by, rushed to a hospital, and slowly recovered from his devastating injuries. But the physical scars were nothing compared to the emotional ones. His wife was gone, murdered in the most brutal way, and he knew who was responsible. He has never remarried, once stating, "When I cannot give Jassi's place to anyone, why should I marry?" Indian police quickly uncovered the horrific truth. This wasn't a random robbery, it was a meticulously planned honor killing. The discovery of those hundreds of phone calls provided a direct link between the family in Canada and the hitman in India. The case was clear: Jassi's mother, Malkeet Sidhu, and her uncle, Surjit Badesha, had allegedly hired the killers. While several of the hired assassins were arrested and eventually convicted in India, the masterminds remained free in Canada. What followed was a legal marathon, one of the longest and most complex extradition battles in Canadian history. For nearly 2 decades, Malkeet and Surjit fought their return to India, using every legal maneuver they could. Their lawyers argued they would face an unfair trial, but Canadian courts ultimately disagreed. In a landmark 2017 ruling, the Supreme Court of Canada declared that the two should be extradited to face justice. Finally, in January 2019, almost 19 years after Jassi's murder, Malkeet Sidhu and Surjit Badesha were put on a plane and sent to India to stand trial for conspiracy to commit murder. Mithu's fight, however, was far from over. He claims he has been relentlessly harassed and framed for numerous false crimes, including a rape charge that sent him to prison for 3 years before he was cleared. Still, he never gave up. In November 2021, he finally came face to face with his wife's mother and uncle in a courtroom, testifying against them. As of mid-2025, a quarter of a century after Jassi's murder, the trial against Malkeet and Surjit continues in an Indian court. Both were granted bail during the COVID-19 pandemic, and with dozens of witnesses still waiting to be examined, the case is moving at a painfully slow pace. For Jassi and Mithu, justice has been delayed, and it has not yet fully arrived. The story of Jassi Sidhu is tragic, almost Shakespearean. A young woman dared to choose love, and paid with her life. Her husband has spent decades haunted by her last words, fighting for justice that remains unfinished. This case forced both Canada and India to confront the dark reality of honor killings. A clash between tradition and freedom. Between love and control. Jassi's only crime was that she fell in love. And for that, she paid the ultimate price. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and check out our other deep dives into cases that demand to be remembered.